She was returned twice, called too cold, too distant, too impossible to love. For 61 days, 34 families walked past her kennel without slowing down. Then, a 12-year-old boy sat on a cold hallway floor every single night for 11 days, without calling her name, without reaching for her, just sitting there. On day 12, a 10-pound chocolate Scottish fold named Mabel made her choice, and a house still quiet from grief slowly came back to life. She was returned twice. The first family said she was too distant. The second lasted exactly 9 days, called the shelter on a Tuesday morning and said she was too cold, too indifferent, too everything. The shelter volunteers had their own word for her: impossible. Not as a complaint, just as a fact. Because Mabel, a 10-pound chocolate Scottish fold with a face that permanently looked like she was filing a formal complaint against the universe, had a system for everything. And she expected the world to comply. She chirped at the window every morning at 6:09 a.m. She stared at the ceiling like it owed her an apology. She knocked the same water bottle off the intake desk every single afternoon. Not the staplers, not the pens, always the water bottle, with the calm precision of someone who had thought it through. In 61 days, passed by 34 families, returned by 2. Nobody took her home. Gerald was 68 and had lived alone for 14 months. Not alone the way young people mean it, alone in the specific, heavy way that happens after 41 years of a full house goes quiet all at once. His wife Marlene had passed the previous October, pancreatic cancer, 4 months from diagnosis to the end. The house still smelled like her lotion in the mornings, if he stood in the right spot by the hallway closet. He had stopped standing there. Then Owen arrived for the summer. He was 12, Gerald's grandson, had come every summer since he was small. But this summer was different, quieter, heavier. His mother mentioned the school year had been hard. "He just needs you," she said. Gerald wasn't sure he was what anyone needed anymore. It was Owen who first saw the shelter post. He turned the screen toward Gerald without saying anything. A photo of a small, magnificently round cat sitting in a kennel with her paws tucked beneath her chest, staring at the wall like it had personally disappointed her. "She's been there 61 days. 2 families gave her back," Owen said. Gerald looked at the photo. "We're not cat people," he said. Owen nodded and looked back at his phone. That night, Gerald looked up the shelter address. The volunteer at the front desk didn't sugarcoat it. Derek said, "She's a lot. She knocked over our 1 water bottle 11 times in 2 months. She vocalizes constantly. She's also the most emotionally intelligent animal I've personally met. Whether that's a selling point depends on the person." Owen walked directly to Kennel 7. Mabel was sitting in the back corner, round as a loaf of bread, paws tucked, studying the wall. When Owen crouched down, Mabel turned her head slowly and looked at him the way a judge looks at someone who has arrived 5 minutes late to their own hearing. Not angry, just noting the fact. "Hi," Owen said. Mabel blinked once, turned back to the wall. Gerald looked at the 10-pound cat who had just dismissed his grandson like an inconvenient footnote. He thought about the quiet house, the empty chair, Owen's careful silences. He thought about Marlene, who had always said that the things worth having never came easy. "We'll take her," Gerald said. Derek was surprised. Gerald was a little surprised too. If you're still watching and haven't subscribed yet, honestly, that stings a little. Hit subscribe. You're going to want to see where this goes. The first week was a quiet disaster. Mabel disappeared behind the washing machine within 4 minutes and did not come out for 2 full days. Gerald left a small plate of food near the laundry room, not close, just nearby. By morning, it was always empty. He didn't mention it to Owen, just refilled the plate. On the 3rd night, Owen sat down on the hallway floor with his back against the wall and a book in his lap. He didn't call Mabel, didn't reach in, just sat there. Every night, same spot, same quiet. Gerald passed by once at 9 p.m., found Owen still there, went to the kitchen without a word, and left a cup of tea on the floor beside him. From behind the washing machine, 2 amber eyes watched the steam rise. On day 12 at 6:47 in the morning, Gerald came downstairs in his robe and sat at the kitchen table with his newspaper. Mabel walked in from the hallway. She didn't announce herself, didn't chirp, didn't knock anything over. She walked to the kitchen table with the measured dignity of someone who had made a decision and intended to honor it. Then she jumped onto Marlene's chair. Not Gerald's chair, Marlene's chair, the one nobody had sat in since October. She settled, tucked her paws beneath her chest, and her tail drifted slowly toward Gerald's coffee cup. Gerald did not reach for her, did not speak, just looked at the newspaper and turned the page. When Owen came downstairs 40 minutes later, his grandfather was asleep at the table, and Mabel was curled into a perfect circle in Marlene's chair, one small paw resting on the table, 6 inches from Gerald's hand. Close, not touching, close. Owen stood in the doorway for a long moment. Then he went and made more coffee quietly, so Gerald wouldn't wake up. Some things deserve to be witnessed in silence. After that, the house shifted, not dramatically, in the slow, accumulating way that real things change. Mabel planted herself in front of Gerald's television with the authority of a building inspector. She claimed the left end of the couch and enforced it simply by staring until people relocated. They always relocated. Every morning at 6:09 a.m., she sat outside his bedroom door and chirped once. Gerald started waking at 6:08 just to open it first. The night Owen received a message from a former friend, the kind that makes a 12-year-old go very still, he came downstairs and sat on the kitchen floor without explanation. Gerald pushed his crossword aside. Mabel walked in, looked at Owen, walked back out. Owen exhaled, even the cat. But then Mabel returned. She was carrying her toy, a small, battered, stuffed mouse with one ear missing that Owen had bought her in week 2. She dropped it at his feet and sat down, not touching him, just present, the way someone sits with you when they don't have the right words but refuse to leave. Owen picked up the mouse. Mabel climbed into his lap, all 10 pounds of her, and stayed. Gerald watched from across the table and said nothing, but later, washing the cups at the sink, he said quietly to no one in particular, "She always knows." The silences changed after that, the comfortable kind. Gerald left his crossword half-finished on the table. Owen sat with him before breakfast. Mabel sat between them, cleaning her round face with one paw, completely indifferent to how much she had rearranged everything. She had been returned twice, spent 61 days watching families walk past. She had every reason not to trust anyone, but she chose them anyway. A grieving old man, a quiet boy, and a kitchen table that needed to feel full again. If you're thinking about adopting, the ones who seem impossible to reach are often the ones who need you most. They're not cold, they're just careful. Give them 11 quiet nights. They'll choose you. Is it patience that changes them, or do they change us first? Tell me in the comments.